this is Debbie Larkin from Kids Around Dogs. As you probably know, I am a dog trainer and I am a dog behaviorist. Lately, I've been a little bit concerned about the world of dog training. If you are a dog trainer, in my view, it means that you have studied dogs, understanding what it means to work with them, to teach them things, to make sure that they understood what you want them to do, to make sure that you understand what you want them to do. You're clear on the behavior that they need to learn and why you're doing it. And how also, which technique you're going to use to teach your dog to learn that behavior. Say, for example, that you want to teach your dog to touch your hand, right? A touch. Get your hand out and say touch, and the dog comes up and touches your hand with his nose or side of his face, whatever is comfortable for the dog to do. But the point is that the dog comes to you from wherever it is, or whatever it is that he's doing, comes to you and touches your hand. Why would you want your dog to learn this behavior? Well, it could be a recall. It could be taking him away from something disgusting that he might want to indulge with on his walks, like a dirty tissue, for example. It's a way to reconnect with the dog. So if there is too much distance between you, for example, it's a foundation for other behavior as well. Instead of a leave it, instead of a give or drop it, whatever, the touch really is extremely helpful. You'll find ways of introducing the touch whenever possible. When I teach a touch, normally I make sure that there is something that smells good on my hand. I present it to the dog at a short distance. I don't make it too difficult for the dog. The dog should be able to smell whatever food I've spread on my hand, and then comes up out of curiosity and because he thinks, this is interesting, this might taste nice. It come up to my hand, and when I feel the touch, the connection of the body with my hand, I'll reward the dog. So when I've worked enough times, the dog should be able to understand, and if I say touch, the dog comes over and touches my hand. Brilliant. So we have a behavior that the dog has understood. Now, how do I actually prove that the dog has understood those things? We need to use something called the 3Ds. And it's not the 3 Debbies. Debbie. Debbies everywhere. It's not the 3 Debbies, but these for distance, duration, and distractions. That means that the dog can touch my hand when I ask with his face, whether we have distance between us, whether there are distractions around us, and for a certain amount of time. The distance between me, my hand, and the dog needs to be built. I can't expect the dog that has just learned the touch today or is just seeing the touch for the first time to do it, to respond to it from a mile away. It's just not going to happen. You need to build that distance. At first, it's going to be like this much. And then the next day, this, and this, and this, and this. And if I've gone here and the dog can't do it, I've gone too far. The distance is too much. I need to go back, right? I need to be closer to the dog. And you build it. You build it. If the dog can't do it, I've gone too fast. I've gone too far. I need to get closer again, take a step back, and restart from there. The other one is distractions, right? Distractions could be all sorts of things. There could be a bird in the tree flying off. There could be squirrels in the whatever you're training. The television could be on. The children are jumping about, or you're doing the training by yourself and suddenly the children come in or the child comes in and asks you for something. That's a distraction. Someone is calling from upstairs, doorbell rings. It could even just be maybe something you're wearing, like a necklace, for example, with a pendant that drops too much. That could be a distraction. Anything effectively can be a distraction. Something that smells particularly strong, something that makes a noise, someone touching the dog, for example. That's why a lot of working dogs should not be touched, so they're not distracted. All those things, right, again, can be added to the training of the dog. So I'll go back to my touch. So I'm here, dog is here, touch, and the dog comes over. Brilliant. It can do it from this distance, even if I'm talking or whatever. Fine. Then suddenly he's here and maybe my daughter comes in and starts talking to me. That is a distraction. Can the dog carry on doing or do the touch even though my daughter is talking to me, or is it too much for him? If it's too much, that means that distraction, for some reasons, is just too much for the dog. Maybe my daughter comes in talking very loudly, or maybe she's jumping about, or maybe as she comes in, she gives the dog a cuddle. Whatever it is has distracted the dog, and the dog cannot do the touch because of that distraction. So what I need to do, I would have to take it down a notch. It could be that I would say, right, Molly, if you want to come in, you need to be calmer. You can't touch the dog when you come in. Come in, but just give me a second until we do it. Or stay here a minute or two. Let me do a couple of touches with you here, so that he knows, that the dog understands that even though you are around, the behavior is always the same. What I want him to do is still the same thing. So build it up, see what the problem is. If it's, for instance, you go to the park, you're outside, there are too many dogs around, that's way too much distraction. Go to the park and practice when there are less dogs around, maybe earlier in the morning, later in the evening, things like this. If you can, maybe you can also rent one of those spaces where you can do training outside, fab. But if you're outside and the dog is just, not doing anything, it's because outside is just too much in general. You know, birds are everywhere, squirrels, maybe foxes nearby, you can't see it, you know, that kind of stuff. So take it back maybe to your garden if you can, to your house, whatever it is, but start it from an easier place with less distraction or even none, and build it up. With duration, normally you want the dog to then keep that touch for a certain period of time. Maybe you want the touch because there is a dog that is on the lead and is wearing a my anxious dog banner that says anxious or nervous or in training, whatever it is. And so I don't want my dog to go and distract it or annoy it or whatever. So I'll keep my dog with me with a touch. And then once the dog has passed, the anxious dog has passed, whatever, I'll release my dog again. I need to have a certain duration. Again, I cannot expect my dog on day one to know, right, I respond here and I'll stay here until mommy says that I can go. Not gonna happen. We need to build it, right? So the first, few times, it'll stay less than a second. And then maybe a couple of days later, he managed to stay a second. A couple of days later, it'll stay 2 seconds. And so on. Build it up. If for some reason I need my dog to stay on the touch for 30 seconds and at 20 seconds she leaves, then it's too much for the dog. Maybe she doesn't like the position there, maybe she's not ready for that amount of time. I need to lower my expectations then. It is, in fact, always better to have less expectation than more, so that you are a bit maybe more understanding of what the dog can do. I gave you an example with the touch, but this is the same for any behavior. And I bring up this topic of the 3Ds, particularly because we have discussed with a few people the sleep lead. Sleep leads are a punitive method of walking your dog. It's not even walking with your dog because you're choking the dog as he goes. So sleep leads in Kids Around Dogs are not allowed. Yet, even recently, I had to have a talk with a former Cadapro professional to remind them that it is a punitive method. And some people still say, oh, but that's the only way I can take my dog out. Well, then you're not doing the training. You're not doing the training properly. You're not respecting the 3Ds effectively. It's really like the foundation in a way. If you are outside with the dog, you're in your garden, do your training with your harness, normal lead, and the dog can do it brilliant. Then you say, oh, but then as soon as I take him out, he pulls. Well, that means you're pushing too much. You're going out there in the world too soon. Go back into the garden, revisit that, because maybe it hasn't really gotten it. Have you added some distractions in the garden? Have you asked for your neighbors to call you over the fence, for example? Or have you invited a friend over? Or have you, have you added something to the garden, like some cuddly toys that talked, whatever you can add to it to add the distractions. And if you know that your dog's main distractions are other dog, invite a friend over with the dog and work in the garden, or even in your house if you don't have a garden, with that dog around to help with distraction. If you don't have a garden, if you think, oh, but where am I supposed to walk my dog? What do I do? Take him out when there is less distractions around, when there is less options, if you like, for your dog to be pulling. Get that harness on, get the lead on, and work just up and down in front of your house. Trust me, the dog still be tired. Don't worry. It's not about putting steps in your Fitbit. It's about putting knowledge and understanding into the dog, patience, of course, into us, to understand that our dog needs his time, that we are being pushing it too much. So don't go for what it is, what effectively is a punitive method, simply because that's the only way they work, because that is not feasible, is not right. You can't punish your dog when the reality is we've been expecting too much from the dog. Take it a step back, go and rework in your garden, go rework in your living room, whatever it is that you can do it, just in front of the house, perfectly fine. But remember the 3Ds: distance, distractions, durations. They don't have to be in this order. They can be in a different order if you want to. But don't forget those. They really are the foundation of any training and for any behavior. Bye. I hope this was helpful to you all, and I'll see you soon. Bye. If you like this video, please subscribe. Thank you.